Now let's jump into the Sapphire Blur Sharpen category, where you're given a bunch of different plugins for blurring and sharpening your image for both practical and stylistic purposes. One of the most useful plugins in the blur and sharpen category is S-Beauty. S-Beauty was new in version 7. It's a great plugin for cleaning up skin tones on any kind of talking head footage or any footage where you have somebody whose complexion is maybe a little bit rough. You can see here in this footage, this girl has sort of rough skin. It's harder to tell at this view. So if I zoom in here, you can see it's a little bit rough. Maybe your makeup department wasn't around and you want to smooth out the skin or get rid of some of the shininess there. This is very easy to do with S-Beauty. So let's start by dragging S-Beauty on top of this clip. All right, you'll notice that all of a sudden everything looks a little bit more saturated. Basically what this plugin is going to do is we're going to isolate the skin tones, and we're going to create a mask with the isolated skin tones, and then we're going to blur the skin tones. We're going to blur the footage underneath that mask. So I'll go into effect mode, and we can actually check out what's happening under the hood. You'll notice here in my effect palette that skin detection is turned on. So what the plugin is going to do, it's going to try and automatically find the skin tones in the image, and it has that color isolated right there for us. And when we scroll down here, what you're probably going to want to do is you're going to want to change Show Final to Show Skin Detect Mask. Now it can show you the colors that it's pulled out of the image, the white part being the skin tone that it was looking for using the automatic skin detection. So this is obviously pulling out too much of the image, so we want to try and isolate more of the image to just the face and just to the skin. So the first thing you want to do is start playing with the Luma range. Leave the skin tone where it is, just play with the Luma range until you get a little bit closer to where the skin is, and then play with the chroma range. Okay, getting much closer. And then play with your relative orange. And then your relative purple. Just kind of work your way down the line in that order, and then kind of go back and expand until you've isolated the majority of the skin. You don't have to get all of it. You might want to play with your range softness as well. You notice what that does. If I bring the softness down, it's actually going to pull more. And you'll notice here it's grabbing a little bit of the background. That's fine for now. The important thing is that we're getting most of the face and most of the arms and chest here. Okay, now we can actually change this to show skin, and it's going to show only the skin that's pulling, and this is pretty good. It's actually grabbing most of it. The part that it's missing is this white area here, which is shininess, not a big deal. Okay, so now let's go back to Final, and I'm going to zoom in here on the footage, and so you're looking at it 100%. And now we can get a much clearer idea of what's happening whenever we change the blur amount. So since we have our mask set, go down here to blur amount, and let's just boost this up a little bit, and then play with the edge threshold. The edge threshold is what's going to really determine how much of this S-Beauty effect is being applied. So if I take the edge threshold down, obviously it's going away, and now I'm going to boost it up a little bit, and it's going to get softer and softer and softer. Okay. So let's just drag and see how we're looking here. And now that I've applied it, it sometimes helps to go up to bypass effect and just click that on and off so you can sort of A/B a before and after. So you can see there's a significant difference there, but it's maybe for our purposes here, since we want this to look more natural, maybe it's a little bit too much. So I'm going to turn down the edge threshold a hair. And let's just play with the blur amount, just up and down, way up and way down, just to see what we get. Just find that happy spot. Okay, and we can look at the chest and the arms, and we can A/B that. Okay, we're going for a natural look here. Notice it was grabbing some of the background here, but we're never going to notice that because it's out of focus. All right. Now, it will automatically boost your saturation a little bit, but I think actually that it is a little too saturated here. She looks a little bit too orange. So bring your saturation down a little bit. So it looks a little bit more natural, like a natural skin tone. Okay. And now let's zoom out. And let's go ahead and A/B this. This is a huge improvement. You can see it's taken us no time to do this at all. All right. Now you can also, there is a soft focus, and we're going to cover soft focus in just a minute, but soft focus is another filter that's built in here in your effect palette. It's also built into the S Beauty plugin. So I can actually boost my soft focus and give this a more stylized, soft airbrush look. So that's soft focus on, and then back to 0, off. So I can make it look even more airbrushed if I want to. In this case, it might not be a bad idea just to give it a little bit. And it's a real-time plugin, so we can go ahead and play this back and see how it looks. It looks pretty natural. I'm not looking at that thinking, oh, she was definitely airbrushed. Okay, that looks pretty great, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Let's zoom in one more time so that we can see the face and just bypass before and after. It looks very natural. And just a quick tip, another thing that you could try is later on, as you're doing your color correction, apply your normal color correction to it, and then use as your secondary color correction under Stylize, S Film Effect. And when you drag S Film Effect on top, Alt drag, you can actually apply a look using S Film Effect that helps to cover up the blur that you put on the face, because S Film Effect is adding grain to the image. And if you boost your grain amp, it's going to look even more organic, more natural. And you would never know that there was any kind of beauty roto applied.